Once again, hello and a huge warm welcome to this bookmakers.com World Cup coverage in association with CobraBet. I'm your host, Tom Lee, and it gives me great pleasure once more to welcome back what many people would regard as the finest player ever to pull on the gloves in goal for the USA. That man is, of course, our ever-present guest, Brad Friedel. Brad, first up, welcome and congratulations, because, of course, the USA, they're through. They've done it nicely. 5 points, a date in the diary with the Netherlands. You would have taken that.
Absolutely. Getting through the group stages is not easy, especially this World Cup. A lot of surprises along the way. I thought, with the exception of maybe a little stumble in the second half against Wales, we performed very, very well in the group stages. I thought Greg Berhalter tactically did a wonderful job, and he was getting some criticism on this side of the pond for his team selection his squad selection, I should say, at first, and it's been really good to see. And we have this team has the backing of the United States. Any naysayers have now sort of quieted down, and everyone's getting behind them for this huge match against the Netherlands.
You are quite rightly so, because it is a huge match, and even the president, Biden himself, has come out with a message of congratulations to the team. We talked about that previously, and I will revisit, if I may, in a little while, the USA. First up, though, let's go back to front, because it's customary that we end these calls with your thoughts and your predictions. But actually, that's where, Brad, if I may, I'd like to begin, because pre-tournament, you and I discussed this, and you said, I think the winners ante-post, if you were having a bet with CobraBet, will be Argentina. Now, of course, we didn't see coming down the tracks the banana skin against the Saudis. We didn't see them come roaring back to true form against Mexico. Are they still, at this stage, based upon what you've seen, your idea of the World Cup winner on December the 18th? Or are you changing your thoughts?
No, they're still there. I thought that they would start a little bit slowly. I did not think that they would lose against Saudi Arabia. But I didn't think that they would be firing for every single game of this tournament. But they're still my favorites.
You mentioned teams not firing for every single game of this tournament. I'd like to hone in, please, on one individual in particular. I know you admire him. I know you know him. I know you like him. Statistically, since Sir Alf Ramsey back in '66, Gareth Southgate is doing the best of any England manager since. He's taken them to a World Cup semi. He's taken them to the final of the Euros, delayed 2020 into 21. Now, all of a sudden, he's guided this England team through a group that, well, we said they'd win, but they still had to go and do it. And yet, there's still a debate that rages in the British Isles, particularly around which Southgate is going to come out on any given match day. Will it be the cautious, conservative, pragmatic, tiptoeing Southgate, or will it be the freewheeling, debonair, risk-taking, Foden and Rashford-picking Southgate that the crowd want to see? What have you made of his decisions so far, Brad? Because he has copped a bit of flack.
Well, I think anyone who plays for England or manages England is going to get a bit of flack. That's just the way that the media is over there. That's how it goes, and the fans are very well educated, and they're going to have their opinions on what their thoughts are. So that goes part and parcel with the job. I think that Gareth has done a great job with the England team against Senegal. What he will do, I don't know. On my personal view, and I said this before the US game, I hope the one player that didn't play against us was Foden. I think he's just a brilliant, exceptional player, and I think under Pep Guardiola, he's done some magnificent things and just gone from strength to strength. So I would think that he's going to try to nullify the athleticism, if he can, of the Senegal team, who's very good. I think he'll be grateful that Sadio Mane is not in that team, as they seem to get to a lot of areas in the games where they really need him. It will not be an easy game, but I would think, in watching Senegal's first games, that Gareth will put out a team that can attack and really try to limit their athleticism and counterattacking style if they can. So I would think that he's going to put in as many dynamic players on the field as he can.
Brad, given that Senegal in their group games had almost a free hit against Qatar, who started terribly, finished a little bit better, but really they were a kind of a guaranteed 3 points for a team the quality of Senegal. And given as well that Senegal actually at one point, let's not forget, when Ecuador scored in their third group game for 2.5 minutes, Senegal were going nowhere except home. With that in mind, and we've seen how good England can be when they're in the mood. We saw it for at least half an hour against Wales. We saw it for certainly an hour against Iran. If England switch it on, and if Senegal play their natural game, you mentioned their athleticism, they're well motivated, they're well drilled. What do you anticipate? Who goes through? Where are the key battles on the pitch? And which of those two teams is booking a place in the last 8?
I think England go through. I think again, for me, if Foden plays, then I think he's going to be one of the central figures, because then the ball can go in central areas. He's so good with players around him, and when you have a player that can either hold on to the ball or with quick, intricate passing, keep possession of the ball further up the pitch, then it's going to release the likes of Kyle Walker or Shaw, whichever the fullbacks are, that to get forward and create the overloads. Against the United States, where they struggled, is Greg Berhalter went to a 4-4-2, and he nullified the fullbacks getting forward, and they didn't have the extra advantage in the center of midfield to hold on to that ball that extra few seconds to allow them to get forward. So I think, again, if I were looking at this, I would be trying to create those overloads as much as I can to try to keep Senegal as deep and close to their own goal. And the one player that does that the best for England is Foden. And then I think you'll also start getting big performances from people like Kane, because then he's going to be getting more service into the box where he's excellent.
If you were to discover under your shoe right now, Brad, a pound, a euro, a dollar, and I said, nominate for me what you think the final outcome will be, England against Senegal on Sunday, what would be your correct score?
I'll go 2-0, but not a breeze in the park 2-0. I think it's going to, I think, I think it'll be 1-0 for long stages of the game, and as Senegal press, then I think England will get their second. But I do not think it's going to be an easy match at all.
Well, Brad, from the Group B winner against the Group A runner-up to the Group A winner against the Group B runner-up, your home nation, the USA, they've impressed a lot of people, I think it's fair to say, because they're fast, they're dynamic, they're tactically versatile, the coach is smart, they're a very likeable team with young players. I'm very interested, particularly, to ask you once again about one that I consider to be one of the breakthrough talents of the tournament, Musa, who's just been tremendous in all aspects of his game. He seems to be all over the pitch. And actually, this is a matchup for the States against a Netherlands, who, again, have got one of the young players of the tournament. And again, we've touched on him before, but we'll go there again because we really should. And that's Cody Gakpo. And if you look at the two talents, Musa, Gakpo, they surely have to be close to the top of anyone's list of the players they've enjoyed from any nation so far. It's going to be a good game, this.
It's a remarkable game. And normally I would not be saying this, that I would prefer to be playing against the Netherlands over some of the other teams. But in this, at this time, I think it's one of the better matchups for us, because Holland they're not going to change their style of play, and they're going to try to keep possession of the ball, and they're going to try to send players forward. And that's when we're at our best, with Tyler Adams, Musa, and McKinney in the midfield. Hopefully Christian Pulisic's fit, but if he's not, we have Aronson, we have Timmy Weah, we have Giovanni Reina, who hasn't even really featured in the World Cup yet, that can get forward with pace. Anthony Robinson and Dest have also showed their athleticism on the right and the left. The concern that I would have is Gakpo, and Holland will carve some chances out against us. I see this being an incredibly entertaining game. Could even be something like 2-2 and getting into extra time and whatnot. But I see this. I do not see this as a boring chess match. I don't see it as a 0-0 stalemate. The one thing I would like to see, I'd like to see one of our number 9s get on the score sheet and cause some problems. But I like this matchup. I really do, with our athleticism. And you're right, Moose has been outstanding.
Question mark about Christian Pulisic, who was reported to have suffered some form of abdominal injury, which I think they had from the dressing room, a video call to him after the team had qualified. They were celebrating. He was getting checked over in the hospital. What do we know at this point about the wellness and well-being of Christian Pulisic?
All I know is they're reporting that he's going to be okay. I don't know if that's gamesmanship at this moment in time or not. So I think that one, realistically, with that type of injury, is going to come down to possibly a fitness test the day of the game.
Brad, specialist goalkeeping question. I would argue that maybe the story of the World Cup so far doesn't necessarily surround either a supporter or a match or a goal. Is it a player? And is it the giant Dutch goalkeeper? This is an incredible story. Andries Noppert, who a couple of years ago, it wasn't that he couldn't get in the team. He didn't have a team. And then all of a sudden, he gets picked up by his hometown club, who once rejected him, Heerenveen. He gets noticed by Louis van Gaal, the international goalkeeper. And suddenly, here he is parachuted into the team, who suddenly find themselves in the knockout, playing some good stuff. And Noppert is the man keeping them secure at the back. That genuinely is a remarkable story, because this guy's wife was telling him, "You're not going to make it, pal. You need to go and get a proper job. Listen, it's not happening for you. You're a grown man. You need to come to the realization that you're not going to be a professional footballer." How wrong can you be? He's not just a pro. He's on the biggest stage of all and keeping, all right, not every time, but clean sheets predominantly.
Remarkable story. His first international was the first game, correct? Memory serves me correct.
Yeah, and not only that, Brad, let's not forget that he's managed by a man who has a history of idiosyncratic goalkeeping decisions, i.e. the introduction in 2014 of Tim Krul
for the penalties. Yeah. And he's looked good. He's big. Sometimes when you have really tall goalkeepers, you worry about them getting low next to their feet. He's really quick. A remarkable story, and he's looked very, very good now. Right now, it looks like the correct decision by Louis van Gaal, and it is a remarkable story. Two good goalkeepers in this game. Turner's been playing well also.
Two very good goalkeepers in this game. And talking of Turner and the campaign that saw him help your country to amass 5 points in the group stage, can you just very briefly dissect and reflect on the 3 group games for the US? Because they had to show their mettle against England. They kept tight. They kept the discipline. They frustrated England. They had that probably a little bit of a shaky spell where the tactical foul late on from Kellyn Acosta might have rescued a point against Wales. They delivered what they had to against Iran. What were your individual reflections of those 3 games, and which of them to you was the most satisfying?
The most satisfying is yesterday's, because it's a 3 points and it gets you through the group stages. But also, I thought the England game was a big confidence turning point for the US, because they didn't start the game on the front foot. England did the first 8-12 minutes. From that point on, it was very, very even, and in the second half at times I thought the US shaded it. The only disappointing bulk of minutes was the second half time against Wales, and I did think we were a little bit fortunate. That wasn't that second halftime has not reflected on the other matches, but it's hard. It's hard to play well all the time, and sometimes you just have to play poorly and get through it, which they did, and they got the point. If they lose that game, then we're sitting here, likely not getting through the group stages. So I think Tim Ream's been excellent in all the games. I think Matt Turner has been excellent. I think Musa and McKinney and Adams have all been excellent. I think Weah and Pulisic have caused problems for other teams at times through the tournament. I think Robinson and Dest have been really good. Right? We got to get our 9, whatever 9 it's going to be. We got to get him firing, and if we do that, we can see a run later on in the tournament.
So you've told us that you think England will progress against Senegal. It's a 50-50 game between the Netherlands and the US. We're still, as you and I chat now, awaiting the full lineup of those last 16 games. We've already covered at the beginning of the call, Brad, your likely winner of Argentina. Slow start, but they're getting moving now. Which of the other big teams have caught your eye and you expect to actually go not just to the last 16 or the last 8, but to be finding themselves really at the crunch end of this World Cup tournament? Because France in dispatches have looked good. Spain, certainly with their young team and Luis Enrique taking the pressure off them. Brazil, Richarlison scoring. Portugal seem to have found a happy balance. England, we've talked about. Likeliest candidates from that cluster of teams. Who are the ones who've really put the hammer down in your eyes?
We missed another one, Croatia. I mean, so Canada made Belgium look a little bit ordinary at times, and Croatia made Canada look like a youth team at times. They were very good on that day. I mean, perhaps it was Herdman's comments that got the Croatians up for that game a little bit, gave it a little bit of extra spice to it. Spain, you named them all. I think England can go far in this tournament. I think Spain can go far in this tournament. Argentina, Brazil, France. You know, I think when you get to those teams, and with Croatia there, I think they're a level above the others. And not saying that the other teams can't beat them in a one-off game, because that can happen in football. You never know with sendings off, injuries, suspensions. Like, will Neymar be fit for the latter stages? Because Brazil will need them if they're going to want to lift the trophy. So there's a lot of permutations that will happen. But those are the teams that I think will be there at the end.
Thinking of the very pale showing from the likes of Belgium, thinking of what looked like a Wales team that had run out of legs, who've been your biggest disappointments, Brad? Because a couple of teams look as if maybe they're teams that are being regarded with the, if they were in a TARDIS and we were in 2018 or 2020 or maybe even 2016, but those are two candidates, Wales and Belgium. Who would be your biggest disappointments based upon what you've seen?
Biggest disappointment so far is Belgium. I think they have some incredible players. I think they have one of the world's best players on current club form in De Bruyne, and they have not looked like the Belgium that I think they can be. They've been the most surprising to me so far.
Sure. Few other stories that have bubbled up in and around the tournament. Always the case. Journalists with itchy fingers and plenty of time to write their column inches. This spat, this row, this dispute that's erupted between two very big names in football, Jurgen Klinsmann and Carlos Queiroz, the coach of Iran. What have you made of that, Brad?
Whoa, you're going to have to fill me in. I haven't seen that.
Well, that's okay. I won't put words in your mouth. Also, this story that has brewed up around Ronaldo and the potential, and I think he's got bigger fish to fry still than this in terms of ambition, but Ronaldo to Saudi Arabia, could it really happen?
Could it happen? Yes, I guess you could never say never in football. I think Ronaldo's at that age where he might be thinking to go to a country like Saudi Arabia or come to the United States, something to that nature. It might be that time for him. So I don't have any inside information on that, but I wouldn't discount something like that could happen.
Oh, good. Well, we will not discount that anything is possible over the next, 2.5 weeks. The World Cup is well and truly upon us. We'll be back with Brad in this same space very soon to get his thoughts beyond those fixtures. if only we knew then what we, or rather, if only we knew now what we'll know then. England will have played in their knockout game against Senegal. The US will have faced the Netherlands, and we'll be back with Brad to get his thoughts. For now, thank you for tuning in to this bookmakers.com World Cup coverage in association with Cobra Bet. Thanks, Brad.
Thank you.